Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel. Peter likes books. And I haven't made a video over here for a while, and so I was like getting ready to do this video, and I was like, is it Peter likes books or Peter likes books? I couldn't remember how I say it at the beginning. So anyway, I had to practice a couple times before I got it right. All right, today is a book review, but it's more. It is more than a book review, because we are going to talk, well, I'm going to talk and you're going to listen. And if you don't want to listen, then take notes, or I don't know, play with toys or do something. I don't know. But listen, I'm going to talk about the best new thriller that I have read in a long time. And by that, what I mean is, I'm not sure after having read it that it is the best thriller that I've ever read in my life, which is what I was saying when I was reading it to people. I was telling people, this is the best thriller that I've ever read. I don't know necessarily if that's the case, but I will definitely say that it is in like the top 5 or 10, which is really hard for me because I've read a lot of thrillers in my life. But so this is what happened. So last night, if you don't know, what you don't know is a lot. I have a vlog, and I vlog every night, like an hour. And I was driving around, and I got done with my vlog, and I was getting ready to listen to the book club book for this month, which I have a book club called Peter's Book Club. We read a true crime book every month. This month, we are reading The Iceman Confessions, the true story of a mafia hitman or something, okay? I think the book, now I didn't pick the book. Mel, my partner for the book club, she picked the book. I think the book is like 1,500 pages, and I don't know, something like 42 hours long, or I don't know, I'm joking. It's 18 hours long, but I'm like, I have to finish it in 4 days. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, okay? So anyway, I was getting ready to listen to that last night, and I was thinking about this book that I had just read, The Chain, okay, by Adrian McKinty. And this is the book that I'm gonna be talking about today, and how the book was just, right from the beginning, I just was taken with this book. So let me tell you a little history of how I got reading this book, and then why I think it might be one of the best thrillers I've ever read. Well, I know it is one of the best thrillers. I don't know if it's the best, and I'll explain to you why. I don't know what would be, though, right? So I have, as you know, I'm sober, I'm in recovery. I have a friend of mine that is also sober and in recovery. Not my best friend that I always talk about, but a good friend of mine, and she and I always talk about books. And she was like, one night she said to me, she goes, this was before I was going on vacation, and she goes, have you read The Chain? And I said, we were going to San Diego. And she said, have you read The Chain? And I said, no. And I said, but I need a good book for this vacation. And she said, you should read The Chain. She was like, my sister told me to read it, and I read it, and she gave it to me, and she's like, it's unbelievable. And I said, okay. I'd never heard about this book, okay? And this is one of my issues with marketing and bookstores and things like that, is, like when you get up, on the bookstore websites, or you go to the Barnes & Noble or whatever, they always have the books that the publishing houses have paid the most to push up front, okay? And that's just the truth of the nature all day long. And it pisses me off. I don't like that marketing aspect of the book industry. I think it's really unfair to indie authors. I think it's really unfair to authors out there that should be exposed and should be seen. I hadn't seen this book, The Chain, anywhere, and it's been out, I think, since July. So anyway, I got on Audible, and I was looking through there, and I was like, oh my god, I already have this book. I had already bought it, and I don't know if I bought it as a daily deal. I could have, or if I just ran across it, or whatever, but it was already in my library. So I read the description of this book, which I just went out of. Hold on, I had it all queued up and everything, and here I just went out of it. And you know how Goodreads is. Does Goodreads take forever to load on your phone? On my phone, it takes forever. Okay, so I read the description, and here's the description. You just dropped off your child at the bus stop. A panicked stranger calls your phone. Your child has been kidnapped, and the stranger explains that their child has also been kidnapped by a completely different stranger. The only way to get your child back is to kidnap another child within 24 hours. Your child will be released only when the next victim's parents kidnap yet another child, and most importantly, the stranger explains, if you don't kidnap a child, or if the next parents don't kidnap a child, your child will be murdered. You are now part of the chain. Well, a couple years ago, I went through this period where I read like all of these books that were about kidnappings. I think the one was called The Girl in the Red Coat. Do you guys remember that, by Kate? It was one of my favorite books of that year. That is one of the most fantastic books. So bizarre, so well written. The Girl in the Red Coat by Kate somebody. I can't remember who it is. Kate Hammond or something. But anyway, so, I love suspense thrillers like this. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to read this book. Well, literally, you guys, I mean, 5 minutes into this book, I was so hooked, I didn't want to stop listening to it. I listened to it in a matter of like 2 or 3 days, I think. It was so fantastic, and that was because I didn't have enough time to read or to listen to it otherwise. This book was so fantastic. It was so good. It was so well paced. Literally, from the first word, it was all the way incredible. So, I'm really into this book, okay? And it deals with all kinds of things. It deals with all kind of real life issues, okay? Physical issues, divorce, addiction, fear, I mean, on and on and on. Like, I mean, it's so well done. The book is just so fantastic. The character development of Rachel, the main character, and Pete, her brother-in-law, is just so fantastic. I will say that a little bit with like the kids that are in the books that are kidnapped, I feel like it is an adult. I did feel this was the only criticism I had, was that it felt like an adult writing a child's character, which it was, right? But like the one daughter, the main daughter is, I think she's like 12 or 13 in the book, or 14, I don't know. But she reads, like when you're listening to her, she reads like a 7 or 8 year old. It's just, it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't sound right, like the dialogue and things like that. But then it like is juxtaposed against things that she does that would be like that age group, like being on her phone all the time, texting her friends and stuff like that, and the things she texts them and whatever. So that was interesting to me. But it's really about this setup, okay, of this chain, of this kidnapping chain that has been going on for a very, very long time. And they're trying to figure out, like, what is behind this? Who is behind this chain? And things like that. And it's so well done. It's so interesting. I will say that I enjoyed the first half a lot more than I enjoyed the last half. The first half is really about the kidnapping, and the last half is really about the behind the scenes of it, which is still interesting. And that's the chase part. Well, the whole book is a chase. Like, I was telling Mel, so my book club partner, I was telling her that like this one part during the book, I don't even bite my nails. This one part I was like in the car listening to it, because it's like, it gets to this part, and then it's like a crescendo, and then it climaxes, and then it's a crescendo, and then it's bigger, and it's like this unbelievable thing happens, and you're like, I can't believe this, and then this happens, and then this, and it's like all happening at the same time, and it's like, this is crazy. And it's not a movie, it's written. Oh, but he did sell the movie rights to this book before it ever got published, which is very, very cool, right? So anyway, yes, you have to read this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was absolutely unbelievable. Now, I will tell you that I don't want to go in here and read about him, but you should look up the author for this book. I read this whole article about him, he was writing, and he couldn't pay for his rent, writing, or his bills, and so he and his wife and kids were almost evicted, or they were evicted, and so he was driving an Uber. He was like an Uber driver before, and so he had reached out to this author, I can't remember, Don Winslow, who's like this published author who like the books are all made into movies and things like that. And he reached out to him. Well, it was weird because I tweeted out that this was like my favorite thriller ever, and the author liked it, but so did this Don Winslow guy, I think is his name. Anyway, I guess I should know who that is, right? But anyway, he like liked my tweet. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, because I just read this article. And basically, he wrote this guy a letter, and he said he was giving up on writing, and that, you know, he had always been his role model, and that he appreciated him being a role model, but that it wasn't going anywhere for him, and he was giving up. And so, this guy reached out to him with, like, I think it was like a publisher or attorney for a publishing house or something, and said, you can't give up. You can't give up. And he wouldn't even take their call at first, right? Like, they both had to get on the line for him to take the call, and so he finally did. And this book is a result of them working with him to really push him to keep on trying. And to think that this book that is so fantastic and so phenomenal is the result of what came out of these role models and mentors pushing him to keep on doing what he loved and what he's passionate about. I think it's a good lesson to all of us to never, never give up on our passions or what, you know, we want to do with our lives. Never give up on our dreams, because the next time could be when that happens. So last night I was driving around before I did my vlog, and before, you know, after I did my vlog, and before I was getting ready to listen to the book, which I don't think I ever even, no, I didn't listen to much of it last night. And I was thinking about all of the thrillers that I've read in my life that really, really affected me at the time. Like, that I would have gone and said, you have to read this book. And it was interesting what I came up with. Okay, so what's his face? James Patterson when I read Kiss the Girls, which was one of his very first books, I mean, he wrote, like, I think Season of the Machete and that kind of stuff, that those were before that. But Kiss the Girls, when it came out, was not one of these books that is, like, formulaic like it is today. I mean, it was actually, you could tell that it was author written. And it was so detailed and specific. And I can remember reading that book and just falling in love with the character Alex Cross, the detective, and just being so, like, entrenched in this intrigue of this book that I loved it, right? That was before it became, like, 91 chapters and every chapter was exactly the same. So Kiss the Girls was definitely one of the thrillers that I loved. And then David Baldacci's The Winner, I can remember telling so many people they had to read that book. Like, I just could not, it was just nonstop. And I don't even remember a whole lot about that book, you know? And there have been a lot of books along the way that I would say are fantastic thrillers. You know, a couple years, I think it was last year for Spookathon, Lala from Books and Lala, she had recommended The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. That, to me, was such a fantastic thriller, you know? There have been so many really great thrillers that I've read in my life. You know, just in the last year, The Woman in the Window by A.J. Fitton and Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. Those books, to me, were just fantastic thrillers. There are so many fantastic thrillers that are out there that are so good and so different, but I have to say that this is absolutely one at the top. I mean, I haven't read anything like this. It's so, and I saw my friend last night, and this is what I said to her. I said, I cannot believe this book is so good. And she goes, I know, it's different than everything you've ever read, right? And I think that's what it was, is that it might not be the best, but I don't know that any of them are the best. They're all just different, you know? But I've read my fair share of bad thrillers, you know? This was, you know, I mean, Blake Crouch writes incredible thrillers. But his thrillers, you know, like Recursion and Dark Matter, are so different. And so I think this is what it is it's a thriller all to its own. It's a brand new kind of thriller, and I think with that we've been introduced to a brand new author, and I am so excited to read more of Adrian McKinty. So you guys should check out The Chain. It is a fantastic thriller. Anyway, let me know what you guys are reading in the comment section below. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.